Yeah, I had that muted a long time ago.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for today. We'll see quite a few clouds out there, temps in the 70s. We will see a couple of showers, especially this afternoon, maybe a rumble of thunder south of Rochester. So you might want to have that umbrella handy as you're out and about. For tonight, a shower or two this evening. Rain will increase towards morning. Temps in the 60s on Saturday. There will be some times of rain and thunder, maybe some heavy downpours in the 70s. I'm Rich Cadelia, WYSL.
Now, an hour of clarity for exhausted people of our nation mired in toxic partisanship. Left versus right, us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
Okay, guys, it's Tim O'Connor. Welcome to A Free Solution, Friday, July 16, 2021. I have a special guest. Guys, this has been an absolute blast for me. People are actually looking forward to participating, helping spread a libertarian message, a fact-based news analysis message. Even if you want to call us conspiracy theorists, we welcome it. Today's Friday. We're going to try to have some fun. Joining me today, Shawn Hannon. He is the chairman of the Onondaga Libertarian County Party. Whoops. See, I get that all mixed up. But anyways, welcome, Shawn. Why don't we introduce yourself? Tell us, you've been on the show before, but
I have.
Let's get
well, thank you for the invite, Mr. O'Connor. Yeah, my name is Shawn Hannon. I am the chair of the Onondaga County Libertarian Party. I'm also the host or co-host of Sports, Clicks, and Politics podcast, which is a weekly podcast. We touch on a lot of the similar things that you touch on here at A Free Solution, kind of news and try to separate news and noise from the everyday mainstream media anyway. So thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. So I promised everyone yesterday, you and I were going to solve some of the mysteries of COVID. Now, I don't think we have enough time to solve all of the unanswered questions about COVID and the
Oh, don't test me. I can do it.
You can do. You are way down that rabbit hole, right?
Try me.
All right. I think where we'll start, it's been a kind of a touchy subject. Is there a legitimate treatment for COVID? Is HCQ a legitimate, I guess, treatment that would maybe have avoided the crazy need for the vaccination that we're seeing, this crazy drive that the government literally looks insane to me when they're pushing vaccines and giving away donuts and giving away scratch off lottery tickets and stuff like that. Like, a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense to me. So today we're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about, Shawn? Let's let the people know.
Let's go back a little bit. So HCQ is going to kind of fall into the discussion I think we're going to have here, because it falls on similar principles in that it's a very cheap, readily available, repurposed drug that is off of patent that basically nobody can make any money on. And people were trying to find out if hydroxychloroquine was an effective treatment. But fast forwarding to these days, ivermectin is the new hydroxychloroquine, if you will, in the sense that it is all those things, cheap, readily available. But this one is actually showing significant positive results all over the world. I mean, there's, I think now over 50 studies that have showed positive results. The FDA is still does not recommend, and actually recommends against the use of ivermectin as a treatment for COVID-19. The NIH kind of changed its position beginning of the year, May, January, February, changed their position from against the position to a neutral position, not for or against the use of ivermectin for treatment for COVID-19. But there's dozens of studies out there, and there was just a recent meta-analysis of those studies out there, and there is significant progress shown in both survival rates and hospitalizations and recoveries. And this is from the treatments of ivermectin, and it's been shown to actually do just as well, if not more, in some cases, as far as a prophylactic than the vaccine. So there's been some, the NIH still wants to have a larger study, and I think they're trying to conduct those now. But this meta-analysis was kind of like I think it ended up including about 7,000 patients. So in general, it's basically going to be, it kind of turns into a giant study by combining all the smaller studies into one big one.
Right, which is a very valuable, guys, I'm a data analysis guy. I took economics at Binghamton University. So when we talk about meta-analysis, I think that that's something that we want people to understand. They accumulate a number of studies, and they take a look at the results, and they look for statistical anomalies. They look for statistical realities, and then we can draw effective conclusions from meta-analysis. Okay. So let me tell you what I know about ivermectin. I think I could go to the local Tractor Supply store, buy some, give it to my dog, and like all of a sudden she doesn't have worms anymore. Is that what we're talking about?
Hard guard, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, this
Hard guard
isn't
is
advice,
ivermectin.
guys. Yeah, this isn't advice, guys. I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying go buy this stuff, but I'm just saying it. Ivermectin's been readily available. It has a lot of common uses, especially in horses and dogs. It's an anti-parasitic. I think I saw anti-inflammatory, guys, and that's one of the systems, like one of the issues with COVID. Your body gets inflamed in its lung tissue. So ivermectin is an anti-inflammatory, apparently. And again,
It has some anti-inflammatory properties for sure.
There we go.
But I mean, the ivermectin won the person who discovered ivermectin won a Nobel Prize. I mean, this drug is one of the safest drugs, if not the safest. I mean, it's safer than aspirin. This has been administered 4 billion times with no noticeable negative side effects. I mean, nobody's arguing whether or not it's safe to use. I mean, not even Anthony Fauci is arguing whether or not ivermectin is safe. Their question is whether or not it's effective as a treatment for COVID. But the safety is a significant portion of that, because in certain situations where people are basically on their last leg and facing death, if you're going to try a otherwise known safe drug that may show some promise, there's no downside, or there's very, very limited downside. And so it's not necessarily questioning the effectiveness, but people aren't even, it's taken to get into some of these cases here in New York specifically, but there's been, I like to cite the one that there's a hospital in Argentina who had 1,195 of their staff. They did a trial. So they had 788 of those 1,195 signed up for ivermectin as a prophylactic treatment against COVID. 407 did not, or 407 did not sign up for or take the ivermectin. Well, 236 of the 407, 58% of the 407 got COVID who didn't take ivermectin.
Okay.
Well, guess how many got of the 788 got COVID?
I think all
Mr. O'Connor, can
788,
you guess?
based on the news that I see out there, right? Every single person that
zero.
took ivermectin. What? Get out of
Zero.
here.
Zero of the 788 caught COVID.
That
that's
that study's fake. Fake news, man.
Well, like I said, that's out there, and you can research that. So you just look up this Argentinian hospital, and you'll see that the data is there, and that's a rather large study. I mean, 1,200 people is not nothing to sneeze at. So, and there's other ones out there, and that's just one that just the results were very very in your face kind of there, when nobody. I mean, if you're literally taking this and 800 people took it, and their peers right next to them, working with them every single day, 58% of the people who didn't get it, it seems that should draw attention to it. And I think it has. Don't get me wrong. I think that the frontline COVID-19 critical care doctor, Dr. Pierre Corey, he testified in front of the Senate, was asked to testify in December, I believe, and basically gave the story, citing that study and others in testimony to the state Senate about how to handle COVID and how to handle it with early treatment. Now, that testimony has now been pulled off of YouTube, so make of that what you will. But Dr. Pierre Corey is kind of been a pioneer in developing early treatments for COVID. He was instrumental in bringing the steroids and the blood thinners as part of just the regular protocol for early treatment of people with COVID. So it's not like he's some random doctor either. Like, he's literally part of the team that was recruited to help this early treatment of COVID in the United States. And then when he gets to this point where he's got this new information about ivermectin, nobody wants to talk to him anymore.
Yeah, so it's a real doctor. I got a question. Of those 700 people that didn't get COVID, I'm going to guess 10% of them experience serious side effects from ivermectin, right? Somewhere around 70 people.
There's no known side effects of ivermectin. The only side effects are actually usually the ivermectin is doing such a good job that your body is fighting off whatever the parasite is usually, and that's causing some discomfort, but it's not directly from ivermectin at all.
So, yeah, all right. I just got a bad visual in my head. Sorry about that. But anyways, yeah, so ivermectin's safe. You could buy it in the store. You could give it to your dogs. Now, you shouldn't again, take what I'm saying as medical advice. But I think that as we move forward here with this ivermectin and this, like, getting to the bottom of the COVID fiasco, I think ivermectin should be discussed more and more often. What do you think about that?
Well,
Do we just
I think it should be.
suppress it?
Well, I think it should be part of the overall. Like, so there's clearly a faction of the U.S. population and world population that either can't get the vaccine, don't want the vaccine, or have had previous side effects and have been recommended not to get the vaccine. Well, those are a great way to fill in the gaps with something like ivermectin, something that you could use to basically stem a wave of cases or hospitalizations specifically. Remember, we had, the whole thing, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Well, if you could do that with a readily available, off-the-shelf, repurposed drug that's cheap. I mean, Africa, the country of Africa, the continent of Africa, and I'm going to say, I don't know, maybe 12 to 14 states within Africa have been using ivermectin for years as a part of a daily regimen or a weekly regimen against certain parasitic diseases that are prone in Africa. And just by chance, people got to look at their COVID outbreaks in the states that already were basically providing prophylactic ivermectin treatments unknowingly, but they were doing it for malaria and other parasitic diseases that are in Africa. But those states found significantly lower hospitalizations and death rates among their citizens of the ones who were using ivermectin. Like I said, there's study after study after study after study. There's literally over 50 of these kind of studies.
Let me jump in here, Shawn. We're heading up. We're coming up on a break. We're live on WYSL and WACK, and we're also live all over the internet. Thank you all for joining us. Please listen to the words from our sponsor. Join us after the break. It's Tim O'Connor and Shawn Hannon, and it's a free solution.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line.
Tim, was that better with me keeping that muted for you?
Are here to help. Their preventative
I'll make you're sounding great.
Your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues.
Shawn, you remind me a lot of, I don't know if you ever used to listen to Cheech and Chong.
Security compliance.
You remind me a little bit of Chong.
Whatever your business IT needs are.
If you ever heard Cheech and Chong, if you didn't, just Google Cheech and Chong. A funny bit they did was Sergeant Stadenko, where Sergeant Stadenko is coming in talking to a class in a Catholic school about marijuana. But Shawn, I mean that in a good way. I hear your voice and it just resembles Chong. I don't know if you remember Cheech and Chong or not. But you do have a good deep voice.
They're like my spirit animal, so sure.
Keeping you on the road. Castle's got you.
There's also a bit where Chong calls on the phone and she goes, "Dave's not here."
Use what the pros use.
They were great.
Except
Or I mean, Cheech is calling, and Chong goes, "Dave's not here."
A message from the National Police Association. It used to be that any able-bodied person would offer to assist a police officer in danger. Now, passers-by are more likely to take a video. There's a better use for your phone when an officer's in trouble. Call 911. Tell the operator where you are and what you see.
Yeah, if you guys are trying to get me off the air and playing outro music, I couldn't hear it, though. That's the only thing.
To learn more about how you can assist law enforcement, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
Why do businesses choose?
He must only be hearing this feed, so just FYI, maybe if necessary, when we're going the break, if he's talking, I can unmute it so we can hear the music.
Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple
you get better at it.
Tech
The same thing
has
with
your
when you have
best
guests
interest in mind
co-hosts
when
and you're
building
trying
or
to,
updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+
now we can talk about the
Business
3
Bureau
New York
rating.
cases of
If your
ivermectin.
website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3000. 3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
Guys, it's Tim O'Connor, and we are back live with Shawn Hannon. We're also live on WYSL in Avon and Rochester. I think also we reached Spencerport, WACK in Newark, New York. We're live on A Free Solution. We're live on Tim O'Connor for Liberty. We're live on the YouTubes, and we're live on Twitter. Big shout out to my Paula, friend of the show. She says she's never heard of ivermectin till now. Interesting, right? Honestly, the relationship between ivermectin and the potential for treating COVID, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about potentialities here. We're not doctors. We're not medical scientists. We're talking about metadata analysis, and we're referring back to studies that have been done that it appears ivermectin may be a very effective treatment. So how do we like put this all together here? She's never heard of it, but it's a popular drug. It's been going around for years. How do we fix this stuff?
Well, I think some of the reason why people haven't heard of this has been there's been this, I call it big tech suppression of discussion around ivermectin. So maybe you got some of you people got a very popular podcast out there, the Dark Horse podcast, which is hosted by Brett Weinstein and his wife. And so they're two scientists. Weinstein is an evolutionary biologist. They have, hundreds of thousands of views on some of their things. So a really, really big channel, not a free solution or sports clicks and politics yet. We haven't reached those ranks yet. We're moving there. We're moving in the right direction.
We're going to get there.
No, we're getting there. But it's just this is to show you that it doesn't matter who you are, I guess, or I don't know. We'll see. But so there's been this suppression of this. I told you how Dr. Corey's testimony, Senate testimony, like in the public domain, taken down off of YouTube. The podcast, Pierre Corey also was on a podcast with Brett Weinstein along with some other people. You can still, I believe, get the Pierre Corey interview. He was on Joe Rogan maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and I believe that episode is still up. And if it's not on YouTube, I'm sure it's still up on Spotify. And so Facebook and some of these other, and Twitter, both have all kind of been pushing the discussion around ivermectin to not have. They don't want that to be out there. So there is this suppression of discussion around ivermectin. If you want to put on you said Friday Conspiracy Day, so maybe if you want to put on the hat. Did you know, Tim, that in order for there to be a emergency use authorization, there can be no FDA approved treatment for a particular virus or disease ahead of time. So if ivermectin could be that thing, it throws a big monkey wrench into the emergency use authorization for the vaccines, and not only just the vaccines, but all these new anti-parasitic, antiviral drugs that Merck, for example, who's the former patent owner of ivermectin, who lost their patent in 1996, now has a new ivermectin. They changed the molecule a little bit, and now they have a new drug.
With 3 or 4 different molecules, but it does exactly the same thing, and it allows them to repatent it and reap excessive profits, perhaps. I mean, as a libertarian, we're not a big favor of intellectual property rights. Big fan of intellectual property rights. I think we see a lot of problems there, like new and improved insulin, new and improved ivermectin, new and improved HCQ. All of those things are going to be in the pipeline. They're going to come out. They're going to be approved treatments for these type of viruses. And so let's switch it up a little bit. I think that you have some local information.
Yeah.
Also news that I don't feel like it should be on the national stage. It should be all over the place. If you don't mind, why don't you break it down for us?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you guys want to look up, I know it's a paywall site. Maybe you can have some ways around that. But Buffalo News has done pretty good reporting on ivermectin. Their reporter, his name is Dan Herbeck. He cites, so there's three examples in New York State. We have 3 different patients who had to end up suing 3 different hospitals, and 3 different New York State Supreme Court justices have ruled in favor of the patients, compelling these hospitals to administer ivermectin because they were these patients. So the first one was right in Buffalo is Millard Fillmore Hospital, suburban hospital. I'm going to butcher this name, but she's alive, so she'll be happy that I'm butchering her name. Judith Menkovitz. She was an 80-year-old patient. She was basically on her deathbed. Her I think it was her daughter or son. One of her we're told that she had 20% chance to live. She was on a ventilator. They did their own research. They came up with ivermectin. Somebody gave their one pill of ivermectin. They finally got the physician to administer. Then 48 hours she was off the ventilator and breathing on her own. And so then she was transferred to another part of the hospital for recovery, and that part of the hospital would not continue the ivermectin treatment, so they had to sue. So they got, the first doctor was said, okay, we'll do this, and then they had the positive results. The family wanted to continue the dosage, and the rest of the hospital said, no, we're not doing this. So they had to sue. They brought in a law firm. I'll give the shout out to the law firm of Ralph Sealarigo in West Seneca, because these guys have helped 3 different patients basically save their lives by basically compelling these hospitals to administer and follow guidelines that these family members wanted. And all 3 of these people have recovered fully. And so and again, it's not just Judas Menkowitz. There was another example in Olean, I believe. There was a Rochester General Hospital had a thing. I mean, there's more than enough anecdotal cases here that have showed significant positive results that it should be in the news. These things shouldn't be just. Go ahead.
Mind if I jump in here? People don't understand that anecdotal evidence isn't evidence. It's actually evidence, right? It creates this storyline. They want to say it's a sample size of 1, but anecdotal evidence is in fact evidence. It comes up, it gives us theories that we can then test statistically. So one of the things that I feel like we're at war about in New York is medical freedom, medical rights. And what you're talking about is the right to choose your treatment with the advice of your doctor. And so some doctors said yes in this hospital structure, and some doctors said no. Is that correct?
So one of the 3 stories that I'm familiar with, the original doctor from the original patient administered 1 dose of ivermectin without having needing a court order. But when she was transferred to another wing of the hospital, then they stopped treating her with ivermectin, and they had to go to court. And the other 2, one was a physician himself his wife had COVID, and he wanted her to have ivermectin, and he had to take them to court. And then a third one was the same thing. There was a person on a ventilator, it was a farmer, and the wife of the gentleman who, again, was on a ventilator, basically said he was all but dead, had to sue to get the ivermectin, to actually get the ivermectin administered to begin with. So all done through court orders, all through the basically through the state court systems. And there's some of this, obviously, you can read if you want to go look through court documents. I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah, there's been plenty of theory put out there about being on a ventilator, why they were putting so many people on ventilators, and perhaps
early on, for sure.
Yeah, the use of ventilators itself may have contributed to some of the problems that we're seeing with COVID.
There's been talk of even medical professionals now in hindsight being like, we thought it was something different. We thought this thing was spreading in a way that the ventilators were going to protect a lot of the staff. So a lot of the times they didn't put people on ventilators specifically for the health of the patient, but probably for the health of the overall good, I think, was kind of the way it was portrayed in some of these early articles. But in hindsight, listen, I think there was a lot of confusion going on early on. And, there was some states who pulled people off of ventilators or places. They eventually figured it out, right? And so the ventilators should have always been a last resort. There was clearly a time where they weren't, and they were used probably more frequently than they should have, causing probably catastrophic events.
I'm hearing anecdotal evidence about hospitals that are refusing to put COVID patients on ventilators. And guys, it's anecdotal, okay? So yes, there's problems, but yes, there is a hospital that I know of that has refused to put COVID patients on ventilators because at some point, 0 of them were coming back off.
Right. It's a very, very aggressive treatment. And, these were mostly people who were already either compromised or old and are weakened in general, and putting them on a ventilator was, just a recipe for disaster. And, said that in hindsight, we can have clearer vision, but, even in the time, there was definitely some red flags going on, or some doctors, and I remember a doctor video getting pulled down. We're talking about more censorship, where we're basically saying, hey, these ventilators is the wrong thing. It's not a breathing, it's an inflammation thing. And it wasn't helping the people. It was literally just basically sentencing them to death.
That cytokine storm is all swelling of your lung inflammation, lung tissue. And what we needed was a treatment to combat that lung inflammation. And obviously, guys, again, I'm not a doctor, but putting people on a ventilator wasn't the best answer. It seems like every hospital has moved away from it, except in the most extreme cases. We're coming up on the bottom of the hour, guys. It's WACK, it's WYSL. It's a free solution. A shout out to John McLaughlin, who's out there in the audience. A shout out to Blake Smith. Thank you all. I hope you hang out for the next 2 segments. Shawn and Tim are going to be kicking it, man. Thank you all.
Okay, 5-minute break.
Now we can talk about the Hunter Biden art show. I'll talk about it. I can easily talk about it. It's gonna be in New York City this fall. I can talk. I did a segment on my last show, so I talked about 5-6 minutes on it. So I mean, I could definitely talk about it in a little bit more detail. Yeah, it's so crazy.
Fly the flag, stand for freedom. AM 1040 Avon, Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the Newstead NBC Weather Center for today. We'll see quite a few clouds out there, temps in the 70s. We will see a couple of showers, especially this afternoon, maybe a rumble of thunder south of Rochester. So you might want to have
You should also remind people, if you have a business you'd like to promote on the show, give you or Kevin a call, and we'll make it happen.
Thunder, maybe some heavy downpours in the 70s. I'm Rich Cadonia, WYSL.
Summertime means new good weather adventures with a little help from Victor Chevrolet. Make memories this summer in your 2021 Equinox all-wheel drive LS. Lease it for just $269.95 per month for 39 months. Or enjoy the versatility of a tough and roomy 2021 Trailblazer LS front-wheel drive. Lease for only $179.95 a month for 39 months. You could haul plenty of people and cargo in your 2021 Chevy Silverado 1500 custom double cab pickup. Lease it for just $389 a month for 36 months. All these deals include all applicable factory rebates, incentives, and discounts. 10,000 miles per year, 25 cents for each additional mile. $2,500 cash or trade. First payment, tax, acquisition, bank, and DMV fees due at signing for all leases. Lessee responsible for repair and maintenance. Security deposit is waived. Must have existing lease and household. Tier 1 credit approval required. And all deals end 7/31/2021. Victor Chevy needs your trade. Find new roads at Victor Chevrolet, Route 96 in Victor. Visit victorchevrolet.com.
Springwater Amish Workshop reminds you, backyard storage sheds and gazebos are their business. They're here to help you enhance your outdoor spaces and stash your stuff.
Somebody tried to tell me it was
Amish
long
Workshop
COVID,
backyard
like,
sheds
get out of
feature
my
double
face.
plywood gussets for strength, 16-inch on center rafters, exterior grade plywood floor, aluminum soffit fascia and drip edge, and 30-year warranted architectural
I'm willing to
shingles.
give long
Choose
COVID.
from a
I'm willing to
variety
give
of
long
exterior,
COVID a
shingle
shot
trim,
only
and
because
shutter
of the.
You can have
And,
vinyl siding,
this is where I
board
feel like
back, or
I don't know
smart
enough
siding,
about the
warranted for 50
idea that
years
the spike
against rot,
protein doesn't stay in your arm and that it actually can float in your body. And I could see that if it gets into a certain place, continually causing long-term symptoms, right? Like if it's freely floating in your body. I mean, I've heard people hypothesize this, and I will say that I'd go back to ivermectin with that, because ivermectin, we didn't talk about, is basically shown to actually bind to the spike protein. That's why people are recovering so fast, because it basically just neutralizes the spike protein. Can't do anything anymore.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations?
So
Maybe
the
it's
best thing
their
that ever, I
excellent
think I told you,
customer
maybe,
service or
but
attention
my
to
sister is
detail.
like
Maybe
if
it's
you
their
had to,
ability to give a truly
if you had to count
customized
down
solution.
the
Or
world's, or
perhaps
maybe
they
I'll say,
just
I'm
like
not going to say the
fact
world,
that
I'll say the
SimpleTech is a
country's
local
leading
small
PCR
business that
scientists.
builds
You're not
great
going to get past like
relationships with
50
its
people before you get to my sister.
Whatever the
She's like,
reason may be,
she works for
you
the
can rest
North Carolina
assured
State Bureau of
knowing that the local
Investigation. She
team
works
at
in their DNA
SimpleTech
crime
has
lab. She's
your
like an
best
expert
interest in
testimony. She
mind
testifies
when
all over
building or
all over the
updating your
place.
website.
So
They're
back when this was all
hands-on
happening, I was
and
like,
love
I got to ask her
helping
such
customers
dumb
achieve their
questions to
goals.
build up
But
my
don't take
knowledge
my
through
word
that.
for it. They've won
And
the
she's
best in
literally like
Rochester
nerd
8 years in a
scientist
row.
girl, like
You
doesn't
have
play
an
politics
A+
at all,
Better
doesn't know
Business
anything,
Bureau
whatever.
rating.
So
If your
I sent her
website
a text.
doesn't
I'm
match
like,
your dreams
what do you know
or
about
isn't
this? Like,
achieving
she
your
would send me something
goals,
back. I said,
give
what do
the
you know about this?
professionals
I
at
said something back.
SimpleTech
Then I was like,
Innovations a
what if
call
I told you
today
they were
for a
doing this? And she
consultation
called me.
at
She's like, they're doing it wrong. If that's what they're doing. I'm like, okay, well. And I started feeding her stuff from other doctors. I said I had that doctor on my show, Kevin McKiernan, who worked for the Human Genome Project. Here, listen to this dude. I purposely, after I talked to my sister, I was like, all right, I'm going to go talk to this guy and see if I can get him to come on. He said he's going to come on again too, so hopefully that'll happen. But that's why I was like, okay, like there's something going on here. It's not Right. So early on, where I was like, okay, something's fucking wrong. Something is wrong. And like I said, my sister had like just literally, she's so apolitical, like I was like, okay, there's not a bias here. Like she literally thinks that there's like she's science and thinks there's something wrong. So I tried to get her to write an op-ed and couldn't do it, but.
Hey Deb, why don't we take the kids to the Lima Crossroads Festival? All the rides are free, and you know how little Justin loves that bounce house.
Great idea, Mike. Brooke is all about the pony rides and the petting zoo. I'll put it on the calendar.
Perfect. The rides and attractions and even that crazy bed race are on Saturday, July 31st, all free. We can get more details at Lima.
And that's a pre-COVID problem. Like we that's why a lot of us, I say us, I mean up here in this part of the world, like you just don't get much.
Last spot.
All that often, but this year has been anything but typical. So at a time when great coverage seems more important than ever, Excellus Blue Cross Blue Shield brings you the confidence of a card that gets you into the doctors you trust.
I can
affordable
throw something in if I
plans that
need
help
to.
you save on premiums and copays. So connect with us today and get coverage, strength, and support that's always there, no matter how life changes. Visit excellusbcbs.com to get started. A nonprofit independent licensee of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Association.
A free solution.
And it's Tim O'Connor and Shawn Hannon today, Friday, July 16, 2021. I want you libertarians to know, and maybe some of you conservatives, if you want to, and anybody that's interested, upcoming this weekend in Albany at the Desmond Hotel, we're going to have a cocktail party fundraiser on Friday night. There's still time to get tickets and join in on the excellent conversation. There's going to be some interesting people there, the least of which may, in fact, be Larry Sharp, guys, who does the show on Tuesdays. He's a total pro at all this stuff. He's considering running for governor again. And I think he really needs some encouragement. He's also got a book coming out, guys, a book on happiness. And I think one of the issues he's trying to do is equate happiness and liberty. And I think that that's probably a fantastic path forward, because I think all too often we see people are almost afraid to be free. They're almost like nervous about it. And if we can have conversations with people and convince them that freedom is happiness and that freedom is a path forward for everybody. And I'm not going to stop until freedom and liberty are household words. So please feel free to join us at that cocktail party at the Desmond Hotel. Reach out to me on Facebook. I can put you in touch with the people to register. It'll be a good time, I promise. With me today, again, Shawn Hannon, the chairperson of the Onondaga, which is Syracuse, guys. All right, let's be honest. Libertarian Party. And we were talking about ivermectin.
You can call me chairman. I'm not offended.
Yeah, chairperson. Yeah, you know. All right, chairman. Sorry, guys. But we're going to kind of swing into hopefully something a little bit more fun. All right. We want to talk about an upcoming art show that's very exciting for everybody. They are going to have a chance to bid on art. And guys, it could get you access to the President of the United States.
Well, this is the first art show. So this is like, unknown artists having an art show in New York City, the undiscovered artists.
Undiscovered.
Maybe you've heard of him. Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden.
Yes, that Hunter Biden. Yes, that Hunter Biden. Don't Google too much. Hunter Biden.
What if I say grifter? Should we add that to his name? Like,
I mean,
literally, this guy has been selling access to our law bodies, our lawmaking bodies, our legislative bodies. And now, luckily for him, he can sell access to the President of the United States. I mean, I'm going to bid on some of his art. I know I am.
Well, you should be take it easy. I mean, people have expressed some ethical concerns, whether or not what you're insinuating is, but don't worry, the White House have they agreed upon a confidentiality deal with the art director, so that none of the winning bidders will know. Like, the artist will not know who the winning bidder is. So you should be rest assured that there will be no nefarious action taken on a $500,000 painting from this new artist.
Will we know who the winning bidders are? Will any of us ever? Will that ever be made public?
If I can find a way, I will make it public for sure. But I mean, eventually, this is all basically a sham. I still wouldn't be surprised if this whole thing just gets pulled and this is not just some PR stunt. Not that I don't think he thinks he's an artist. I think he does think he's an artist. I saw a link. Somebody showed me that a undiscovered Picasso painting recently sold for $150,000. So if he's getting $500,000 for some of his paintings, and $75,000 to start, he must be quite the artist. I'm looking at some of these arts here, looking at on my computer here, and it's not all that impressive. No offense, Hunter.
Guys, if you're following along on the internet, I just want to point out my backdrop is actually a piece of art that I created myself, and I will accept bids in excess of, I don't know, let's minimum bids at $1,000. I don't know, but something like this.
That seems fair.
When we see him, Hunter, traveling the world with his dad and meeting up with basically foreign dignitaries and people shuffling him piles of cash and giving him great business deals, and then we get into the conversations that he may in fact be an effective administrator for an oil company. That's not what's going on. That's never what was going on. Stop living in dream world, man. This guy is getting money and selling access to regulations and law. That's it.
Yeah, I don't even think anybody disputes that anymore, right? I mean, nobody's saying no. He's a good actor. He's doing this. It's literally the bigger deal now is the fact that people like when the New York Post tried to publish that Hunter Biden story, they wouldn't even let it. Right? The Twitter just took down the link. They wouldn't even let anybody share it. So there's been this this censorship of certain topics. Ivermectin being the one that we talked about early on, and Hunter Biden has been a suppressed topic of discussion. I mean, the dude is literally the black sheep, and if this was a son of any president previous, he would have taken down the administration.
I think that's hard to deny, but technically, I think what he's doing, and this is really important, everyone. This is the part that you have to understand. There are aspects of what he's done, and almost all of it is absolutely completely legal, completely allowed by our current legislative system, that we accept lobbying, we accept money from people all over the world to influence legislation in our US houses, in the House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. This is a real thing. I don't think it's ever been discussed enough. And here's Hunter Biden just throwing it right in our face and saying, this is what I'm doing, guys. Look, I'm going to draw a picture, 500 grand.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's the gift that keeps on giving. That's all I know. Maybe he's the grift that keeps on grifting, I guess, too. But
yeah,
I could talk about Hunter Biden all day. I could talk about. I mean, it says we want to talk about something even worse than Hunter Biden. We could talk about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh, let's do this. Let's do it.
Well, because I don't know if you saw just today. I feel like there's been a new. I think there's a podcast coming out from Vicky Ward, who I think used to write for Vanity Fair or something. She had some contacts with Epstein way back in the 90s, I think. But anyway, she's putting out stuff. So apparently, Bill Clinton traveled around with Ghislaine Maxwell to a bunch of different countries, a bunch of different events on Epstein's plane without Epstein, just those two alive. So that came out today. That's fun. And then I don't know if you saw too, Chris Cuomo, our governor's little brother there, is apparently his wife was found in Jeffrey Epstein's second little black book. Her name, Christine Griven. I don't know how to pronounce her maiden name. I guess Greven. Christina Griven was found in Jeffrey Epstein's black book back from. This was a book that's basically been dated to the mid '90s, so sometime between '95 and '99, I think. But interesting that I find that all these, not all, but many of these young ladies who end up in Epstein's book also end up married to influential people, whether it be politicians, financial gurus, in this case, a media personality. It seems that they always find their way into a relationship that could benefit somebody if they ever needed a favor.
So what I'm saying is, as a business plan, that looks like a little slice of genius to me. If I had money and an island and stuff like that, I could make, my goal could just be to connect people in a loving and caring way to just grow our influence together. What's wrong with that?
I mean, it's a model. I'm not sure I'd want to follow it, but it was clearly executed for decades with some kind of efficiency that basically remained under the without being discovered by the FBI. I'll say like they actually didn't know it, but I believe that they knew this the whole time. So I'm guessing most people knew this was going on the whole time, which is another mind-boggling part of the story.
Well,
I'm not sure how far down you want to go these roads, but it's Freaky Friday, so we can go wherever you want.
Yeah, we do fake news on Friday, which is coming up next segment, guys. I hope you all hang in there. But the issue is that the real news is kind of more often stranger than fake news. And one thing I want to point out about investigation, guys, make no mistake about it. Has anybody heard from John Durham? Has anybody, like, what's going on with the Cuomo investigation? What's going on with the Maxwell investigation, the Epstein investigation? I'm going to tell you right now, the word investigation has come to mean suppression of information and suppression of communication until such a time as when it will be politically expedient to lie about the actual investigation. Am I crazy? Is that conspiracy theory?
I mean, I guess, but I'm down with it. Like the whole this whole investigation has been basically just a slow roll in New York. So I mean, governor is got everything he wanted, right? The whole whatever they worked out in the budget was allowed him to keep his cushy throne there in Albany and ride this out for as long as he can. You know, I don't know if there's any guaranteed outcome yet at this, but it looks more and more likely he's going to survive, which is crazy.
I knew that he was going to survive it. The timing of it was impeccable for survival, for his political survival. It could have came out right at the beginning of next year. It could have came out sooner, closer to an election. The timing is absolutely perfect for Cuomo to survive this whole thing. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, like I said, I just did not believe it, but I believe it now.
If you guys want to call in, share your favorite conspiracy theory, I just want to remind you the number is 866-552-1009. We're live on WYSL and WACK, and we're heading into a break. I hope you join us for the last segment. Thank you all.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations?
Okay,
maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution.
I mean, listen,
or
I could
they just
literally
like the fact that
give you these
SimpleTech
headlines
is
right
a
in a row.
local
You tell me what you
small
think it is.
business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local
June
team at
8th,
SimpleTech
2021.
has your best
Haiti
interest
is the
in
only
mind
country
when
in the Western
building or
Hemisphere
updating
without
your
vaccine.
website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+
You should save it
Better
for
Business
radio.
Bureau rating.
Don't give them too much time to
Doesn't match
think.
your dreams or isn't achieving your goals.
That's
Give the
not fair.
professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585.
Well, except this is just three that I found somewhat interesting. That one, zero vaccines in Haiti on June 8th. July 8th, President Moise assassinated at home.
My name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm
July
Danica Bourne.
15th,
And we're the
Haiti
owners
receives
of
first
South
shipment of
Facts.
500,000 doses of
Thank our
vaccines from the
Lord
U.S.
for protecting us from evil. Psalm 91 states, He is my
Wait.
refuge and my fortress.
So I
for he will
literally, I
rescue
just
us from
screenshotted
every
those three
trap
news
and
times. I was like,
protect
oh,
us
look at
from
this.
deadly
June 8th,
disease.
July 8th, July
Southwest
15th.
Tax
I'm
are
like, how?
Christian-based tax
What?
accountants
Like,
and attorneys
in the
who
article,
specialize
too,
in
the one from
releasing
June 8th, it says,
levies, wage
the
garnishments,
subheadline is
and
health
filing
officials say
complex
no idea
taxes.
when their doses will
We are the
arrive,
leaders in
right? So like
acceptance of
there's
offers
literally
and
at this on
compromise
June 8th,
with
there's no
costs
plan
and
to get back,
results.
or maybe there's
We
a
are
plan,
also
but there's
a small
no
firm who
seemingly
treat you
imminent
like family, and not
distribution
just
of
a number.
vaccines.
Call us
Fast
today
forward to
at 1-800-CATS
assassination later, and now they got 500,000.
for a free consultation,
saying.
and we'll take the time
Just
to
saying.
explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
In John 8:36. So if the Son sets you free,
Really,
you
the
will
headline
be
that I
free
wanted to
indeed.
talk about
And one way we can
is
achieve
the one I
that is by
posted a couple
being
days ago.
debt-free. So
Heat
let us help you
waves and
today.
COVID-19
Call us at
causing
1-800-TAX,
alarming rise in drownings across the
1176,
U.S.
and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS tax debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX 1176.
Your business relies on computers
the only
and
one I pulled off, so
technology
I didn't-
to operate.
only 'cause I
Slow,
had that
unreliable
before.
networks
I knew I
and
was-
servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help
the Haiti one's
clients
pretty
achieve
cheap.
HIPAA, PCI, and New York State.
How about Cuomo had an X-ray of his heart, and the X-ray showed nothing?
Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations.
I'm sorry, no, don't say that. I'm just joking about Cuomo.
Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200.
He has a brain. It's just wired backwards from everyone else. Stand by. Doing fake news thing.
SimpleTech Innovations.
A free solution.
It's Fake News Friday with Tim O'Connor and Shawn Hannon. Kevin and I normally do Fridays, but Kevin needed to take a little bit of time off. So luckily, Shawn stepped right up and joined us. I want to give a little shout out to some of the people out in the audience who are posting comments online. Guys, let me tell you what, that is this calling in, posting comments online, that's why we do this. If you have a business that wants to add to the sponsorship of this show, if you have a radio station that would like to add this show to your noontime dialogue, please reach out to me, reach out to WYSL, and we can make those things happen. So here it is, Fake News Friday. Shawn's going to throw a few things at me, and then I got one or two for him, and then we'll do some more bookkeeping, and we're going to call it a day.
All right. So I'm going to start. Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah.
It's going to be like ping pong where I go, then you go?
Yeah. Well, I've only got one, so.
I have, well, I'm going to start this way. U.S. military once trained Colombians implicated in Haitian assassination plot, Pentagon says. You think that's real or not real?
Well, I think before the break, I was saying like some of the real news, honest to goodness, guys, I wish it was fake. So I'm going to go with that's real, 100% real. These guys are U.S. military trained operatives who were taught these skills and made this happen. Am I right?
Yeah. You are right, sir. We are getting developing reports that these, I guess there's now up to 28 people involved in the assassination plot. I think they have identified or captured 20 of them. But apparently there's some U.S. Haitian citizens there, some former FBI and DEA informants that were all trained by our U.S. military. So we have that going for us.
You used the word former there, right? Is that what? That's the operative. It's a job that they had when they were teenagers. It's like throwing hay on the farm or something like that.
Yeah, once you're a DEA informant or an FBI informant or informant for the CIA or any of these things, you are there for life, I'm guessing. So, but yeah, so apparently this was I don't know, inside job or something. But the Colombian mercenaries basically were trained by our military. You know, there's a handful of these people who are apparently informants for our law enforcement agencies, and they killed the president of a country.
So what's the motivation? Why did this happen? What do you think? Let's just go full conspiracy. Let's come up with something crazy.
I don't have a rock solid reason, but I can give you some headlines that may help you along the way of deciding this.
Let's travel right down the rabbit hole, brother. Let's do it.
All right. Well, let's go to let's see. This is Bloomberg, I think.
Okay.
Bloomberg News, yeah. This is dated June 8th. Haiti is the only country in the Western Hemisphere without vaccines.
Hang on, we're doing fake news.
Health officials.
Fake news. That's fake news. That's not
this is real news. A little sub-headline. Health officials say they don't know when doses will arrive. So this is June 8th. We talk about what we just talked about here. We add that into the July 8th, where President, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but President Moise was assassinated at his home. And let's fast forward to July 15th, which is yesterday? Haiti receives its first shipment of vaccines. Haiti receives its first shipment of vaccines, 500,000 doses from the U.S. So we have no doses and no plan. June 8th, we get an assassination in between, and by July 15th, they got 500,000 there. So I don't know if that's a conspiracy, but it's a hell of a timeline.
That is okay. I mean, so now I don't even know what to say. I want to say again. I want to go back to we're doing fake news. This is all fake news. None of this is true.
This is all real news.
All right, that's crazy. That's literally crazy.
You want some COVID fake news? I got some COVID fake news. What do you got?
Well,
what do you got?
What do I got? All right, so check this out. I occasionally, like, I'm a foodie. I like my food, stuff like that. So there's this craze right now out there. Macaroni and cheese flavored ice cream. Real news, fake news. Would you eat it?
I believe it is real news, and I would eat it.
There's a shortage of it. Literally, people can't get enough of it, which I don't quite understand because I don't really like macaroni and cheese. But how does macaroni and cheese?
It's weird that I didn't like macaroni and cheese as a kid, but now I love it as an adult. Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? I feel like.
I think so. And my wife, it's one of her favorite dishes to make. And I can't ever just say, God, babe, I love this. This is great, because I just can't do that. I just don't like.
I love all kinds. Baked, creamy, mac and cheese.
Yeah, the Velveeta pies. I like that.
That's the worst kind, Mr. O'Connor.
I don't even. I see. It was rich people food back when I was growing up, and so now I'm like totally attracted to it. Like it was no homemade macaroni and cheese. Like was the only thing we had. Like homemade macaroni and cheese was all we had. We couldn't afford the stuff in the boxes. So now when I go to the store and I see that Velveeta stuff, I buy 3-4 boxes and I'll eat it for lunch every day. I'm exaggerating.
Well, like I said, I've become much more of a connoisseur of mac and cheese in my elder years than I did when I was a kid. So I don't know what to make of that. But I would eat the ice cream.
Yeah,
I would eat it.
You would.
Yeah.
Well, it's a real thing. There's an actual shortage of it. I don't know quite how you would put it together. I remember when that velvet cake ice cream first came out, and I'm like, yeah, that can't be good. But actually, I ate that, and that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I don't know, there's certain flavors that I like in ice cream that I don't think I normally like. So I think mac and cheese would be one of them. All right, let me go. I got some news.
All right, here.
Tell me if this is real or fake.
Okay.
Heat waves, and COVID-19 causing alarming rise in drownings across the U.S. Heat waves and COVID-19.
Heat waves and COVID-19 causing an alarming number of drownings across the United States.
Yes, sir.
How do
COVID-19 the drowner?
COVID-19. Well, I mean, we've talked about the respiratory issues that COVID-19 can cause. Somehow, I'm going to think that, unfortunately, that's a real headline, right?
That's a real headline. Yes, sir.
God. Yeah. I'm sad that I'm right.
I mean, again, we've as you pointed out, the fake news and real news is that the line is blurring so much now that it doesn't really matter. Everything is real news, I guess, at this point.
Did you actually read that article? Like, did you go down through? What was the core
I got
that they made?
Some of it was what you had said, was that they were having issues that some people couldn't breathe as good when they were swimming. So I'm not sure that this was why they were drowning, but it's really the heat waves, the people in the water is the reason why the people were drowning. I mean, unless they were wearing masks, I guess.
Yeah, I'm concerned that people are swimming with masks on. I'm a little bit concerned that that's what
that could cause drownings.
I don't see how it couldn't cause drowning. I think it would be such a bad idea that I don't even know what to say. Oh,
yeah, I don't know what to say now.
That's the world we live in, man. That's a faulty association. I don't know. So what they need to do is mandate.
It's scare tactics. You know what it is. They're basically just trying to get people to be scared about anything. That's the only thing that works.
Anything. Yeah. So if they mandate swimming lessons along with the COVID-19 vaccine, that's big government solving a problem, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what they're there for.
It doesn't sound like a free solution to me.
No, that's not a free solution. That's the status solution. What I think
it's going to cost us all.
It always does. But guys, it's amazingly enough, it only costs us in inflation and debt. And those expenses aren't even real. They're absolutely imaginary, just like birds and Earth is round. All that stuff is nonsense.
2 minutes.
All right, guys, we're coming up on the end of the show. I really appreciate all the comments. I really appreciate Shawn coming on the show with me. I want to remind people that freedom and liberty should become a household word. Also fun, fake news, a free solution. And we're bringing it down to the LPNY first in-person state meeting at the Desmond Hotel. If you want to join us at the cocktail party. And guys, believe me, you don't want to join us for the meeting because it's going to be contentious and we're going to argue over stuff. But join us for the cocktail party because everybody's going to be having a blast. Shawn, you got any final words for everybody out there?
I can't believe you just discussing bylaws at our meeting was going to be boring.
I have a resolution that's going to be somewhat unpopular. I have a feeling.
I'm glad I'm not going to be there. I'll be there online.
Join in online, guys. So, as we're heading into the end of the show, once again, live on WYSL, WACK, Avon, Rochester, Spencerport, and Newark.
1 minute.
Once again, I want to thank Shawn Hannon and remind everybody to join Kevin Wilson on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, me on Thursdays, Larry Sharp on Tuesdays. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe. Thank you all for joining us. And remember to like, comment, and share these videos. Join in the fun with your own comments. And everybody have a great weekend.
All right, have a good weekend, guys. And and actually, Tim, you should know I played the music, so you kind of got out a little early, so you cut yourself short. But have a good day. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
I told you. All right.
The News 1040 weather phone. Call.
I think we're still live on the internet, but I think we're going to end the broadcast. I want to really thank you very much. I had a great time. Hopefully you'll do this again with me, and I'll catch you later. All right, brother?